Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm not centered here. Okay, welcome to Tuesday night to the KnitChat Cafe. My name's Noelle, and this is my friend
Kelly.
And we're coming to you from southwestern Ontario, Canada.
Sunny.
So, it is sunny. It was actually not a bad day today.
It isn't. It's quite warm out. Well, what are we at?
It is when it cools off.
Yes.
Yeah, but when the sun starts to go down, it really cools off quickly. So anyway, a few more days to get there, a few more weeks to get the knits in before we start thinking about summer wear. So
yes.
So we are happy that you're all joining us tonight. Can't believe it's Tuesday again already. The time just goes by crazy fast. So I always think there's tons of time to get a bunch of stuff done, and then it's Tuesday. So,
yes. Okay. I see there are some comments already about the very cool sign behind my head, and a couple of comments about the fact that I have straight hair today. Yes. We're going to talk about the sign in just a little bit, and the hair is not permanent. It's just I blow dried it today. Tried to do a little bit of now I've got mohair floating around, but a little bit of a blowout today on the hair. Sometimes, it just feels good to switch things up a little bit. And so I thought I'd go with that. I can't do this in the summer. It's too humid and the curls just take over. So I thought I would try something different today.
Yeah, but I find when I put my hair straight this time of year, it's so staticky. Like the static is just...
Yeah, but I think it's because the weather is warm right now. So it hasn't been too bad.
Better.
Yeah, it hasn't been too bad. So although I did get a little bit of static, I just raced in the door. So I went tonight. I had an MRI at the hospital and on my wrist. And I just got in the house a few minutes ago and zipped down here just in time for the podcast. And I have to say, I had to get fully undressed for this MRI and get rolled into the tube. In my mind, I've had MRIs before. So I was thinking, well, if this is just my arm, I'm going to be seated on a chair in front of the machine. I'll just stick my arm in, and that's how they'll do it. And that's not how they do it. You just have to get fully undressed and you get rolled into that machine. And I may or may not have fallen asleep in there. I'm not entirely sure because it seemed like I heard it for a little while and then I kind of didn't. So I think I dozed off. But anyway.
Well, how long are you in there for?
Over a half an hour.
Oh, really? I didn't think.
No, I really think I took a nap.
I didn't know what. Yeah.
Well, she asked at one point, I think she kind of woke me up because she said, "How you doing there?" And I said, "Good." And she said, "The one image was a little bit blurry. We're going to do a retake." And so I'm like, "Okay, fine." And I think I dozed back off again. So I don't know. Anyway, it's all good. So we will see. I have a week or two to wait to get some results. And maybe I will finally get a confirmed answer on what's going on with this wrist and how we can make it better. It's been kind of a painful week. So anyway, what else is going on? What's going on with you this week?
Well, since I've been home, I was just saying to Kelly, since I've been home, which was a week ago Sunday, I've had grandchildren visits every single day, which has been amazing. It's amazing, how much, especially the babies, how much they can change when you don't see them even just for a couple of weeks. And Mackenzie's 1, her birthday is St. Patrick's Day. So she turned 1 yesterday. So a year, how does a year just how is she 1 already? It just goes
very quickly,
so fast,
very quickly. Fast. Yes.
So
yeah.
So that was fun. And you'll see when we get to projects, it's I just want to knit what I want to knit. and not what I'm supposed to be knitting. I've definitely figured out for sure this week that I am definitely a process knitter and not a product knitter. If I have a product to do, I get it done, but it's begrudgingly. So
okay, fair enough. I think I'm definitely like that too. I mean, I get excited about the things I get excited, but then I also get a little squirrely. So if I don't finish something and something else catches my eye, it's really easy for me to get torn away to that new project. Hence the, 4 or 5 sweaters that I have sitting that need nothing but sleeves. So, I think maybe that's a little bit all of us. So,
So we'll see when we get to those. So,
yeah. And the other thing I want to talk about is because it was kind of a big deal for me last year is that last week I celebrated a birthday, and it was a big birthday for me, and it wasn't one that I welcomed. I turned 60 last week, and I know some of you may say, "Oh, that's young." Some of you younger people are going to say, "Wow, 60, that's old." But here's the thing: it's all about how we feel about it, and it took me a few days to settle into it. I wasn't entirely comfortable with it. I'd kind of dreaded it. And I did make a post about this on Instagram, and it took me a little bit to figure that I would share that, because I felt maybe some other people are struggling with a particular birthday, and it could be any age. Everybody struggles with some birthdays, I think. And I have to say, like, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say a huge thank you, because there were so many supporting comments that came in over that, and I felt better, like, as I read them throughout the day, and it was a fair bit of work for me because I made sure I responded to each and every one of them, and there were quite a few. But I wanted to say that there is really a very positive community that we're a part of, and it made me feel a lot better about reaching that milestone birthday and reaching all the ones to come. So um, I just wanted to say thank you, because it was a big deal for me, and as I said, it didn't come easy. But I am in a much better mental health state this week, and I'm feeling pretty good about things. So we're here. So I thought up all of the very cool names that can go along with 60, because 50 is kind of like that fabulous 50, but I think there's like sassy 60. I feel pretty sassy. There was scintillating, there was sophisticated, which I am not. I am never going to be sophisticated. But anyway, smashing, I think, was the one that we ended with. And I am a smashing 60. So hence the sign behind my head. This was a gift from my kids, and I'm pretty excited about this sign. So they had this custom made for me in Ottawa, and then Kendall jumped through some FedEx hoops to get it here in time for my birthday. So it is from a company, and I did make up a banner. Here we go. It is from a company called Shimmer and Confetti, and I believe they are located in Ottawa, Canada. And she bought this from their Etsy shop, and I'm pretty excited about it. I thought it was really special.
Yeah.
She said that we needed the official podcast sign. So I think that they did a great job, and I'm very appreciative for that too. So enjoy. Okay.
So where do you want to start? Did you have any questions?
Well, we have a circle back. Not necessarily a question. Well, it was a question a couple of weeks ago. I think people were wondering about ball winders and what is a good kind of ball winder. And the one that I have had for a number of years now, and that has served me very well, is a Stanwood. And they are a little bit on the pricier side, but I also think that they work very well. So Sharon is in here tonight, and she said that she did indeed buy Stanwood, and she can report that she is very happy with it. So if you are, sort of looking for one and debating out there what might be a good one, the Stanwood ball winder is definitely a good one. So
okay, so I had a few questions. We have talked before about how much we like the alternating cable cast on, and in the past we have posted links to how to do the alternating cable cast on, and how to do a corresponding sort of alternating cable cast off. So I did have some comments, and if you look, there is actually a tutorial also by Patty Lyons, and it's called the fake tubular cast off. Well, I looked at it. It was actually an Instagram reel. I looked at it, and it is the exact same thing as what we posted before. The exact same technique, same result.
Okay.
And yeah, so if you're looking, if you want to look for something and you're not sure what to look up, go into your YouTube and just put in, well, she just called it a fake tubular bind off.
Okay.
And you should be able to find it. So I know that there was a reel that Patty Lyon put on Instagram, but whether or not there's a YouTube video, I haven't checked that out. But she does have a lot of YouTube videos, so quite possibly there could be. So, and if you haven't tried it, try it. To me, the biggest benefit of it is the fact that you do not have to roll off that amount of yarn in order to do the way you do a sewn bind off or the way you do a tubular bind off. You actually just work it with your working yarn. So there's no like judging how much yarn you need. There's no pulling all that yarn through different stitches in order to finish your bind off. So give it a try, see how you like it.
Okay.
So, I know I use it. I use it all the time now. I can't remember the last time I've actually done an actual real tubular cast on or a real tubular bind off. I've used this since I've learned it. So, okay. Next question was about, we've talked in the past about how when we're doing socks, if we do an afterthought sock heel, that we do extra rows before we start the decrease. So someone wanted to know exactly where. So first of all, this technique of adding the extra rows basically only works if you're doing an afterthought heel.
Okay.
So that's when you go in after the fact and you actually pick up the stitches around for where your heel is and cut your yarn, or some people do it with waste yarn so that you don't have to cut your yarn. But then you've got all of your heel stitches in a circle on either your double points or your 2 circulars or your 9-inch circular, however you do it. And that is where you do your, whether it be 3, 5, 7 rows of stocking stitch on all of the heel stitches before you start into any of your decreases.
Okay.
So that's where that's done. And the number of rows that you do depends on who you're doing the sock for, how big of an instep they have, the thickness or the thinness of your yarn, because a lot of, even though they're all called sock yarns, a lot of them are different weights. Some are definitely thinner than others. Some are definitely thicker than others. So you kind of have to judge by how your yarn's been knitting up and what, like row gauge, not that we ever check row gauge in socks. I count rows, but I don't check row gauge. So, and then the last question is about intarsia in the round. Okay, I'm going to say right now, I hate intarsia. If I do an intarsia project, it is a product knit because I do not like doing intarsia.
I remember the cat sweater, the dinosaur sweater when the kids were little. I did take the time and I watched an intarsia in the round video.
Okay.
And
I did too.
It was Suzanne Bryan's. Is that the one you watched?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I watched. And aside from the fact that when I was watching her, I was thinking that was nothing that I would ever want to do. All of those strings hanging. But her video was very clear. And after I watched it, got halfway through, I'm like, okay, I'm very clear on this. And I have an understanding. I still don't think I'm ever going to do it, but I do have a clear understanding.
We'll see. If
I don't know.
Sometimes if there's just something that, like your grandson really wants that dinosaur sweater.
Well, yeah, I know. I honestly think it would be easier to duplicate stitch the whole darn thing. But anyway, so I would recommend Suzanne Bryan's video because it was clear to me what she was doing and I could understand her instructions very well. So if intarsia in the round is your gig, then I think that'd be a good one to watch.
Yeah. If you, and I mean, it's always nice to try new things. And there are even some, sock things where you might just want a little bit on the front of the sock.
I was just going to go there. I was going to say, so if it were intarsia where I just wanted to do something very small, like a little bit, that's fine. But as far as, like I said, going back to that dinosaur sweater where we had to have an entire ball of yarn to manipulate, that was a lot. But like in her video,
we were just doing it back and forth. We weren't doing it in the round.
No, we weren't.
Because back then there was when we were doing those sweaters, everything was knit in pieces. So the only problem that you had with intarsia at that point was just yarn management and having to loop it. When you're doing it
always
in the round,
problem. Mm-hmm.
Well, when you're doing it in round, you have the problem that if you go in the round, your yarn is at the wrong end when you come back to do it. And that's where this video
hence where you create
in.
Loop. Yes.
Sarah
says her nephew asked for a dinosaur sweater and she suggested that he check out a thrift store.
You could do a what's the machine that makes the graphics and you can just iron it on a Cricut. Cricut it.
And Julia is reminding me that I have a vested interest in intarsia because I did buy a vest quantity of yarn and to go with a pattern that is intarsia. So,
but is it knit in pieces or is it knit in the round?
It was a front and back piece. Okay. So I mean, I could handle it for that for sure.
Yep. So, okay. So that was all the questions that I had.
Paige
So.
said that she knitted 2 of those dinosaur intarsia sweaters and she
Oh,
forgot
that's
to
cute.
send
Oh no.
washing instructions. And so she had 2 felted sweaters. Oh dear. Oh dear.
I have knit 2 of them. I knit one for my son back 35 years ago. And then I also knit one a couple of years ago for Isla, his daughter, who wanted one. And I didn't like it anymore the second time than I did the first time. So
yeah.
But it's just not, I think it's because there's not the rhythm that there is if you're doing like stranded color work or I don't know.
It's that
it's not
for
relaxing.
For me, it's all about the yarn management because it doesn't matter what you do or whatever I did, I was getting those strings twisted up and that wasn't a fun time. It's just not fun. I like to be enjoying the knitting. Again, the project part of the knitting and not just saying, oh, I'm struggling to get through this, but I know I have to do it. So, yeah.
Okay. So that was it for questions. So maybe we should go on to what we're wearing.
Yeah. Okay. Just a second. Rosie's saying, did I do intarsia on the hat with the red maple leaf? No, I didn't. I did color work in the round for that. Now there are some long floats. So I did ladder back jacquard on my color work in that hat. So yeah. And Cheryl is talking about doing argyle socks, which was intarsia in the round. And actually in the video from Suzanne Bryan, she was doing argyle socks. It could very well have been the very same pattern. So
I know I did an argyle vest for Curtis back when he was like, I think it was actually for his first communion. And
oh really?
But it was knit in pieces, right? So you did the front and you did it, but then it also had how the argyle has the diamonds, but then it's got the rows going through it like this. So all of those I put on in duplicate stitch, but the diamonds were in the back and forth intarsia. But
okay.
I mean, it did look really cute, but again, not fun.
I always feel like there's a little bit, or not more than a little bit. I always feel like there's like yarn wastage when you're doing intarsia as well, because you're winding up what you think you're going to need, and then if you don't, then you've got all of these.
I only winded it up if I had to have 2 balls. Otherwise, I had all the balls attached because I didn't want to waste the yarn.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and you're constantly one way to do intarsia is knit at a table where you can have the balls in front of you. So it's kind of like it reminds me of that hide the shell game with cups, because you knit a few stitches, then I take that ball and place it over that one, knit a few more stitches, bring this one here, and it was just constantly manipulating the balls of yarn.
That's why I love like actual Fair Isle, where there's only 2 colors per row. You've got one in this hand, one in this hand. You're at the end of the row, and because you're doing the over under thing, they are not tangled when you get to the end of the row.
So. I know. I was just thinking yesterday about drawing up this little pattern to make some Easter socks. And I was thinking how cute it would be to do bunnies and carrots. And I thought, oh, I do a bunny and then I will do a carrot. And then I realized, oh, okay, that's going to be a 3-color row. And I'm like, how much fun is that? Because I like to do 2-handed color work. And I don't know that I want to be manipulating a 3rd color in there.
Well, do bunnies at the top and do carrots before you get to the toe.
I know. I thought about that too, but I just thought, how cute would it be to have a bunny and a carrot and a bunny and a carrot? And who knows? Okay.
I'm not. I'm telling you that right now. Plus, I don't know, like for socks, like you're really going to limit the stretchability of that sock if you've got 3 strands of yarn that you're carrying around.
Yes. Well, they were just going to be short socks. Like I thought, just have it like just above the heel. Yeah, we'll see.
Still got to get it over your heel.
Yep, I do.
So, okay. So do you want to move on to what we're wearing?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So you go first.
Okay. I am wearing the Cozy Classic Raglan by Jessie Made Designs. And I made this one a while ago, but I forget how soft it is until I put it on. And then I realized how much I love this sweater, and I don't wear it enough. This is using the Leo and Roxy sock marl, which they don't make anymore. Sorry. And so I held that with their mohair as well. And the sock marl was called Fields of Gold, wasn't it? Was it Fields of Gold? I think so. Fields of Gold.
Straw into gold?
Straw into gold. Thank you. I get that wrong every time. Straw into gold. Yes. And then the mohair was your favorite mohair. It's called Butter. And it was very bright. But when you paired
might be called Butter, but
this sweater feels like butter. It's
yeah,
so soft. But
why don't you lick it and see whether or not it tastes like butter and get your mouth full of mohair?
If you look here in the you can't see what my pointer is doing. And even if I point at it, it's not going to work. But right here in the raglans, you can see in the picture how nice. There's a really nice detail. Oftentimes raglan has a lot of stitches, or sorry, not a lot, but at least a couple of stitches that are deviating off that center column. This one, she designed it in such a way that it's just kind of like a one stitch raglan. And even though it's a very small detail, it's one that I really like. And the sweater actually fits very, very well. It's a really good fitting sweater, and it is unbelievably soft. It has a really nice neckline, and it has a excuse me, it's a tubular cast on, if I recall too.
Yes.
And the method that she uses for that is actually a very good method too. So if you haven't made this sweater yet and you're really just looking for something, if you've got like a fingering weight yarn and a nice mohair to complement it, I highly recommend it. Noelle, you made this one as a sample, I think, for the store, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, her method of doing the tubular cast on, if I am going to do a tubular cast on, that is the one I use.
I keep going back to that one too. Yes. If I am going to do that, I always pull this pattern up and I will refer back.
And it is, I don't think it's a secret or anything. It is one that uses a waste yarn cast on. So,
but it works up really nicely. Really
I just find when you're trying to do a tubular cast on a circular needle, this like I can never keep the stitches straight till I get that first row done. Like they seem to twist around the cord. So maybe it's easier if you're doing that to do it on like a what do you call them? I don't even know what you call them anymore. A straight needle.
Oh, a straight. Okay.
As opposed to doing it on a circular where it's going to twist all around your cord. So
I really try to be careful. Like once I get it onto that cord, then I kind of go along and I will make sure I lay it out. And then
I know, but I
go back around again. But I have had times where I've messed up, and it's not something you want to do twice. No. You really don't.
No. So I found that honestly, the alternating cable cast on looks to me just as good and so much easier to do. So I just go to that for mostly everything. So plus it is faster. The alternating cable cast on is faster. Yes. So, okay. And I am wearing, this is Smoked Orange by Tia Coleman. And let me just see here. There we go. Smoked Orange by Tia Coleman. And I knit that. Well, I haven't had it finished for that long. I've only worn it like a couple of times. I do really like it. It's,
oh, where'd you go?
I just switched the logo to pick the photos, and it took me out.
Took you out?
Took me out.
Okay, anyway, there we go.
This is Smoked Orange by Tia Coleman. I used the Fiberco Cumbria in the colorway Nutkin. So this sweater is basically sort of an all-over cable design. I did the smallest size in the pattern, and I used 4mm and 4.5mm needles. So 4mm would have been for all the bands and the bottom hem, and the 4.5 is for the body of the sweater. The Fiberco Cumbria is a gorgeous yarn to work with. It's 60% merino, 30% massam, and 10% mohair. So you just kind of get that little bit of like a halo with the mohair. And I use 3.7 skeins, and it is a DK weight yarn. And this color is called Nutkin. And they've got some gorgeous colors in this yarn. I know you've got some in the 4-ply of it, and they're just the depth of color. And again, I think that goes back to the massam. Like the yarns that have massam in them just seem to
that little bit of a dark fiber, right?
Yeah. So, just seem to really intensify the colors. So, Okay. So that is what I'm wearing. Yeah. And the buttons I bought years ago. Like, honestly, I think it was before internet. That's how old they are. I bought them at a yarn store, just really liked them, picked them up, didn't actually ever know what I was going to use them on. And they worked out perfect for this cardigan. So there you go. The benefits of having a stash.
Yes,
Even
absolutely.
a button stash.
It's always fun to shop in our own stash too, right?
Yes. Yep. Yep. So, okay. So on to finishes. Do you have any finishes this week?
I do. I have one.
Okay. I have 3, but one of them is one that I couldn't show before because it hadn't been released yet. So maybe I'll show that one first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the first one is my Enola V, and this is a pattern by Jennifer Shields Toland. It was actually released last Wednesday, so it's been out for almost a week. Mm-hmm. And I've got a couple of pictures. So it's got this beautiful twisted rib detail that goes like on the shoulders, front and back. It goes around the armholes of the sweater. It goes down under the arms. It's just a really nice fitting tee. I don't know. I don't have a picture. I didn't put a picture in of where the V is, but I'll just show you hold the sweater up here. So it's got like a V that's like not super deep. And all of this finishing here is done as you do the V. So you don't have to go back and pick anything else up in order to do the sweater. Mm-hmm. Again, the twisted rib goes down into the bottom with kind of some bands outlining it. And then there's just kind of a couple of rows of garter stitch before you cast off. And here's the detail down the side of the tee. You still get that nice twisted stitch detail that goes down the side, yeah. Right, and goes right up into the armhole of the sweater. So for mine, she has options where you can actually lengthen your sleeves, but all I did for mine was I picked up, I think there might be a little bit that you do before you actually go into the ribbed armband. So, but it sits nicely over your shoulder, so it's not like it's.
She has such pretty details. Yeah, she has such pretty details.
And she's actually, at the moment, she actually has, if you use the code Irish Love, you can get 20% off this pattern and all of JST Knitwear Design's self-published patterns until midnight tonight, Eastern Standard Time. So if there's something that you have looked at of Jennifer's patterns, they're beautifully written, easy to follow. Go on and use that code and get 20% off. So, and this is going to be like perfect for spring, even into summer, as long as it's not too hot. So mine is done in mine is done in BC Garn Bio Balance, which is 55% wool, 45% cotton. Mm-hmm. It is a fingering weight. This took 3.14 skeins, and they're 50-gram skeins. So like basically this top weighs next to nothing. I did the size 2 in the pattern just to have a little bit of positive ease, but I did there's directions for doing waist shaping or not doing waist shaping. So I did do the waist shaping, and the only change that I made to the pattern from the original pattern was I did my length from here to here about 2 inches shorter.
Okay.
Because I'm shorter, and it's still not like, if you go back to the photo here, it's still not you can't see it with the banner there. That's still not a cropped, right? It still comes down past my hip bone. So yeah, there you go. It still comes down past my hip bone. But I think if you were normal height, you might want that a little bit longer. So that's the only difference that I made in the pattern. Mm-hmm. So. Okay, so it's going to be warm enough to wear that soon, maybe.
I think so too. I could have probably gotten away with a short sleeve sweater today almost.
Earlier.
Earlier.
Yeah. Well, we're like, I'm up by the lake and we still get a breeze off the lake. So it's still not. So anyway. Okay. So go ahead.
How many did you have?
3.
Okay, show another one because I only have one, and it's a sewing project. It's not a yarn project.
Okay, so the next one is my Bokit bag. Mini, my Bokit bag mini.
Your mini.
So this is the Bokit bag. So this was my original one. Right. And I have a project in here that I'm going to show you that actually have quite a bit of yarn in here. And then here's its little cousin or baby, or
it doesn't look that much smaller.
Well, they are.
Oh, okay. Now I can see it. It's just the perspective from the camera. I'm thinking it looks pretty much the same.
So this one, no, I'm holding up the wrong one. This one will still fit a sock project.
Yeah,
so, and
absolutely.
these were done. This is the Lion brand Rewind yarn. Now the Rewind yarn is I wrote down here what it was, is a polyester viscose. So this looks a little bit like it might be raffia or like a straw, which I think would be hard to work with at this gauge, like hard on your hands. This is super easy to work with, other than the gauge is a little bit tight. So this pattern actually called for a 4mm crochet hook. I used a 4.5, and I think my fabric is plenty tight. And both of these I got out of 2 skeins.
Okay, good.
So 2 skeins did the both. Now, when Penelope was over this weekend, she thought this was she had the little chickens in here and was carrying them around.
Yeah.
So I could see doing even like a tinier one because this is still like a pretty good size.
Yeah, it's very nice.
It's mini. And so 2 of them just with the 1 skein. So kind of fun to do a crochet project to kind of mix it up or switch it up a little bit. So
I thoroughly enjoyed taking a little break from knitting, and well, I wasn't taking a break from knitting. I couldn't knit, but it was fun to crochet. It was really fun to crochet. I've been on the lookout for some more patterns that I want to try. And
that DeBross, that designer, she actually has quite a few. They're more like home type projects. Like there's some little baskets or some little like wall hanging things that you can put on, like more put home dried decor flowers in it. Yeah. So, but okay.
Well, the little project I had, because yesterday was St. Patrick's Day, and actually I've got a banner. Well, isn't that something? I typed it in. I must not have hit enter after I typed it. Hold on. Sorry. I will put it in again. So I follow somebody on Instagram that has some really cute sewing patterns, and she makes a lot of home decor, again, just like you were talking about. And her name is Simply Eileen. Some of you may follow her as well. And so I just made this.
Oh, that's
a
cute.
little
That's pretty.
hot pad for St. Patrick's Day. And so it's just like the little heart-shaped rug mats that I made. I used the Insulbright in here. And so these are just little scrappy projects that you can make for your home. It was nice to set a candle on or a hot pot. So I've had this out for the week, and I just put a little button. Of course, the Rick Rack. Do you remember that? Like, I remember my mom having all these cards of Rick Rack.
Come on, we had it on dresses, at the bottom hem of dresses.
Right? You would put it on aprons, pillowcases, everything. And it seemed like such like an old-timey trim, but it's actually kind of coming back. And now they make this wider Rick Rack, so you can just sort of stitch it in. But again, and then I applicate it with my machine. And that's the first time I've actually used the applique stitch on my machine. And it worked pretty good. I'm okay with it. So yeah, that was just a fun little.
So what is the back? What is the back?
Oh, the back is just the plain green fabric.
Okay.
And you can see my applique stitch through it. But yeah, so anyway, I just thought these are kind of cute. So I've been working or thinking about what I'd like to do for Easter now for the dining room or something. Just, I don't know. I'm kind of on these little scrappy quilt project kicks and having fun with it. So it's a nice, sewing doesn't hurt my arm. So it's a nice little break to be able to have something to work on that is not causing me pain right now. And I thought this was just fun and quick. If I had thought about them sooner, I might have made like one for each of the kids and dropped it off at their house too, but didn't get there that quickly.
Yeah. Very cute. Okay, so my last finished object is the Ranunculus by Midori Hirose. So heavily modified.
Heavily modified.
Should add. So here is my, I seem to be into this like green color phase.
Yeah, I was going to say it's two.
I know, because
it's
honestly, they're almost the same color, but one's summer and one's winter. So anyway, so I have quite a few ranunculuses, but the original one, the very first one that I did was a winter one, and I did it. I did modify it, but I made it long. I don't wear it. I feel like it's too big now. So this one is done. And I do really like how this one fits. So I do have some pictures. You can see it just comes to a little bit below the waist. You can see it's definitely not as oversized as what the pattern calls for. Like there's still some room in it, but it's not as oversized as what the pattern calls for. That yoke, I just love doing that.
I know. I could knit it again and again.
Yeah. Yes. So the yoke is, I didn't do any changes in the yoke. I did the smallest size of the pattern and I followed the yoke exactly. So you can see how I even did some waist decreases in this so that it wouldn't be so wide coming down to the bottom of the, and I really like how it fits. So I did, like, my basis was I did pick the smallest size of the pattern, which still, if I did it at their gauge, would give me quite a lot of positive ease. So the original pattern calls for you to do it on a 6mm needle, and I believe the gauge is 14 stitches. Yes. I did mine on a 5mm needle. My gauge is 18 stitches, and I don't even increase to the amount of stitches that the pattern actually calls for. Okay, plus I started differently. I did this neckline that's kind of like the neckline that Caitlin Hunter does in her Miserina. So it's a little roll, goes into 1x1 rib. So what I do is I cast on, I don't know why 78 stitches. I don't know where I got that number, but it works. So that's what I use. I do 78 stitches. And then after I'm done the rib, I increase to where I should be for the first row of the yoke on the ranunculus, right? So then I followed the yoke pattern right to the end of the yoke pattern. And then when it goes into the increases, there's some raglan increases in this pattern. I don't do all of them. I think I add a little bit more, do a little bit more for the sleeves, and quit doing them for the body because the body's big enough already at that point. So I believe that then I have 150 stitches around for me when I start into this part. I think this time though, I might've had a couple more, and then I decreased. I did about three or four sets of decreases as I went down the sweater. Again, I didn't do her cast off. I did a bind off. I did a bottom to match my rib up here at the top. So where I did the knit one, purl one, rib, and then did a couple of rows of stocking stitch and then bound off. And then my sleeves, I decreased a few at the beginning. And because my gauge is smaller, they're not as big as what the sleeves in the pattern are. And then I got to I think I did about 3 or 4 sleeve decreases. And then when I got to here, I just left it, did a few more decreases before the cuff. And again, I did the cuff with the same knit one, purl one, rib, and the rolled bind up. So I'm really happy with the way it fits. This yarn is Estelle Yarns Echo Shetland Worsted. The colorway is Alpine. I use 2.41 skeins. So I originally bought this yarn at Muskoka Yarn Connection when I was up house sitting in Bella. And I had only bought 2 skeins because they had done the Felix sweater for someone about my size, and they'd only used 2 skeins. But I think that their gauge was looser.
Okay.
So they didn't take as much yarn, but I like my gauge to be, I don't like to feel like I'm going to catch my sweater on something and it's going to pull. So mine is a tighter gauge. So I did have to go back and get a second skein, which I blended in. And I don't think you can tell because it was a different dye lot. They had got some new yarn in. So total, I used 2.41 100-gram skeins. So 241 grams for the sweater, which is like pretty good for a winter sweater. It definitely has softened up since I blocked it.
Okay. Yeah.
But I could still feel it a little bit. It didn't bother me, but I could still feel it a little bit on. So maybe next time I block it, I might try adding some hair conditioner and just see if that softens it up anymore. But like, it's got beautiful drape. It really like bloomed and filled in. Like kind of like the yarn was maybe a little bit like not perfectly smooth when you're knitting it, but once you block it, it really kind of fills in and brings it together. So yeah, so I'm pretty happy with it. I do have more of that yarn to do something else with. And again, I love the color.
It's very pretty.
And I could knit this yoke over and over and over.
I
It just
know.
goes
It's something
so,
so engaging, and you just want
yep,
to keep going and going and going to the next row, the next row. I
yep.
actually used
So,
hair conditioner when I blocked my crochet cardigan this time.
okay,
That's the first
okay.
time I think I've ever put hair conditioner into a soak. Like I used my normal soak that I use, but then I also added in, I took some hair conditioner in my hand and really like emulsified it, and then I put some in the water.
Okay.
I was just worried because I was using super soft, which we know it's not soft, but
Right.
I haven't had that issue when I soak things out. But I felt I was a little worried just because with crochet, you're really bunching the yarn together, I guess, like because you have it's not like knitting where it's just like a single, do you know what I'm trying to say? With crochet, your crochet posts,
Yeah, are
you're doing
thicker.
that like, for this was like a double crochet. So I'm actually hooking that yarn through all those loops a couple of times on. So the stitch is definitely denser than a knit fabric. So I was concerned that, just regular soak might not get all of that spinning oil out, and it may be still kind of not crusty. It's wearable. But anyway, having said all of that, I don't think soak. I just kind of like swish it around and get the suds away from it. And I kind of wring it out, and I'll leave that soak in there because I think, what does it really hurt? It smells nice anyway. But with the hair conditioner, I really wanted to make sure that I had that out. And the reason that I really worked it up into a lather in my hands first was because the first little pump I put in, I dropped it in, and bear in mind, you're not using hot water. You're just using room temperature water, and the hair conditioner kind of just laid there in a plop. And I thought, oh, I don't want that to like clot that way on my garment. So the next little bit I put in my hand, I really worked it up as best I could, and then kind of worked that into the water so that I had it well integrated. So,
well, it's like when you put it in your hair, you're not just putting it on, you actually rub it through your hair.
That's right.
You don't just squeeze it on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. And I did rinse that quite well. I actually refilled the sink a second time, and I rinsed it all out. So,
okay.
Lizette is asking about the Riptide slipover and wanting to know if it's tricky. No,
it's not. And
her
everything's
patterns
explained.
are amazing.
Yeah.
And she does have video video support as well for you to go through. So yes, you do not get left high and dry with this pattern. She walks you through every step, and the finishes in it are so very nice. I actually bought some yarn this week, and I'm thinking of knitting another one. I have two of them now, but I love it so much that I'm thinking, well, I could do with another one. I really do get a lot of wear from them. So yeah. And Mary is saying a nice crochet, whoops. There we go. A nice crochet pattern is the Tidal Fade Shawl DK. And I've already done that one, Mary. I actually did that with some yarn that I bought when we went to Vogue Knitting Live in Columbus. And I paired it with a yarn that I had from Richard DeVries, I think. And it worked. Or no, sorry, I'm leading you astray. The pattern I saw when we went to Columbus.
Okay.
And then I bought the yarn from Richard DeVries.
I was going to say, I didn't remember you buying yarn in Columbus.
No. So it was two skeins that really coordinated well by Richard DeVries. And then I paired that with a really beautiful blue that I got from Sweet Georgia. And you can go in and see that in my projects in Ravelry if you like. It's in there. So.
Okay. So no more finished objects here.
No, not here either.
Okay. Do you have any works in progress?
I do. I've got three to talk about.
Okay. I have 4.
Okay. You go ahead then.
Okay. So my first one is I have got a little bit more done on my Cannon sock, which is a pattern by Kua Coffee. And I'll just show you what the pattern actually looks like. So it's kind of an all over cable and lace design that goes down the leg of the sock and then into the instep. And then the sole of the foot is done just in stocking stitch. So I don't have it on a blocker here, but
be a really good sock to wear with that sweater.
It would be. So there's the I know, like I seem to be like Have you seen pink? Have you seen pink? You might see pink later on. So
No.
I shouldn't say that. So anyways, yeah, it's a really cool design. And I've gotten all of the decreases done now for the, it's always, when you do a heel flap and gusset, it always seems like a relief when you get done getting that gusset down to the stitches that it's supposed to be, and you don't have to remember to do those anymore. So the pattern continues down the front of the foot. There's, I think, 70 stitches around, even though it's like a lady's sock. And then the sole is only going to have 32 instead of 35. So I did decrease down there. I think I was supposed to have 2 more stitches on each side for this. So which would have put it up to, okay, 35, 39 stitches.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't purposely leave them out, but they got left out and they're staying left out.
Okay.
So, but it's still big enough. It's still big enough down here, especially when you've got the stretch and the stockinette part. So I had to kind of, when I'm doing the pattern, I'm like, I've got my chart in there, but I have to remember, okay, 2 stitches on this side and 2 stitches on this side. I don't do. And sometimes you have to adjust it because it's like a knit 2 together with a yarn over. So, but it's adjusting fine. So if you do the pattern, that's my mistake, not the pattern's mistake. The pattern is right. I'm just adjusting it to correct my mistake. So just have to remember to do the same thing on the next one. I've done that a couple of times. Like I'm like, oh yeah, I know what to do, and I don't read it. There's twice this week I've done that and gone on. But anyway, you should read the pattern.
Yes. Yeah. I found that out as well when I was working on a sweater this week. Yeah. For decreasing on the sleeves. I just went about my own business and realized, oh, I shouldn't have done that, but that's okay. It all worked out.
Yep. So the yarn that I'm using is Barocco Vintage Sock, and this colorway is Pumpkin, and it's a gorgeous color. It really
See,
is.
it even sounds like it goes with that sweater. Pumpkin and nutkin.
Pumpkin and nutkin. Yep. But I don't know if these are going to be. I should make these ones for me because then my
sounds like 2 squirrels. It sounds like 2 squirrels who are friends of Mr. Toad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and that fits in this little bag.
It does. It's perfect. That's
the
a
only
cute
thing about this
bag.
is you do. Oh, see, that's sticking out my little handle there. But yeah, it's perfect bag for, and you can actually, it's one that you can actually put over your arm and still knit with it.
Well,
although if you're really gonna,
like, if you put needle stoppers on them, like the little,
so that they don't stick through the,
yeah.
But yeah, so, and no weight to the bag, so it's kind of nice to have something like that to carry around to knit.
Oh, Helen, you're right. Nutkin was the squirrel and Beatrix Potter. You're right. Yeah. But wasn't Mr. Toad? Isn't Mr. Toad and Beatrix Potter as well? I think, right?
I don't know. My dad always liked The Wind in the Willows, so I always think of Mr. Toad from The Wind in the Willows, or Toad.
Oh, maybe I'm getting my.
So I don't know. There might be
stories wrong. Yeah,
there might be.
Yep.
I got schooled on Bluey this week because I bought the wrong Bluey character. Anyway.
We have a new viewer in here. Doggy Life. We don't know your name. Maybe you could share your name, but I see that lots of our friends are in here making her or him, we're not even sure, feel welcome. So thank you for that as well. Toad of Toad Hall. No, that was Wind in the Okay. I totally, you were right. It was Wind in the Willows. So yeah, I totally got my toads confused.
So
yeah. Okay. So I got to do something this past week that I was pretty excited about. So I went to Sarah's house for the day, and we had a crafty day. And our goal was to knit a sweater in a day. And we did indeed. Hi, Izzy. That's her name. We did indeed knit a sweater in a flippin' day.
This sweater?
My sweater, not this one. A sweater. So Sarah has at her house, Sarah has a Brother convertible knitting machine.
Oh, okay.
And so it's not finished. Like I have to still do the cuffs and the ribbing. And the reason it's not finished is because I want to do some embroidery on this sweater. So I thought it best not to seam the...
Pull that in. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm leaving it flat until I get my head around this embroidery. And I have a very cool well, I'm saying it's a cool idea for embroidery. I don't want to share it yet because if it's a huge floppy fail, then we'll talk about that when we get to it. So I hoping to play with it this week and figure it out what I want to do, and then maybe have something to show next week. But what I can show is that we knit all of the parts of this sweater, and it was done in a day. Mind you, it was a fairly long day, but we could have been finished sooner if we hadn't have taken a break and went for pad thai. Amazing lunch. And then she may have dragged me across the street to a yarn store, pushed me up the stairs, and enticed me to buy something. Maybe, just maybe. But anyway, it was a really great day. We had a really fun day. So I'll show you what I have on this sweater. So this is just a very basic V-neck sweater. It's a drop shoulder construction. So you can see I don't have the sleeves stitched up yet. And this is based on just Sarah measuring me and saying, yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. And it was so fun to try something new and to learn firstly, how to use this machine. And then I was like really excited because even once I got home the next day, and I don't know why I do this, but when I'm brushing my teeth, man, do the thoughts really whirl around in my head. And I got thinking, okay, well, now we know how to do decreases. I could totally do vests on this machine. I could do all kinds of things. So I am full out looking for a used Brother convertible home knitting machine. I'm really excited about this. I had a great day with Sarah. She's a great teacher. And she really is a teacher too. But I mean, she was a great teacher to teach me the knitting. So yeah, so basically we did the back first. So the back is just a rectangle, no shaping. That was where we started. And I should say first, I held these two yarns together. So this is Colsta Whole Super Soft. The color is Treasure. And I held it with some drops mohair that I have. And it is odd, I find, because when I did my little twist method of twisting these two together, I felt like I knew what the sweater was going to look like. On the knitting machine, it does seem to handle yarn a little bit differently. Even when I was hand knitting the ribbing, I thought, oh, now this kind of looks like what I thought the sweater was going to look like. But if you'll notice, it really highlights some of the color instead of muting it. That may come out with the blocking, because I also find that this makes a definitely a more firm fabric. We knit this to a specific gauge, and I couldn't tell you what it was, but to me, I would say it looks like about the equivalent of a 4 millimeter, and it's very nice and even. And then, so then we did the front, and this is where we did a V-neck, and this is where I had to learn how to decrease stitches as I'm going. That was very interesting to learn too. There's this funky little tool that you have to use. I had a great time. And then we put the sleeves on, and the sleeves are basically, so then I got to decrease on both sides. So I'll hold this upside down. Oh, and what we did, this was kind of neat too. Instead of just knitting this as 4 independent pieces, I actually picked up the stitches and hung these on the knitting machine and knitted the sleeve down from.
So is it a manual machine or is it electric?
It's a manual machine. So it has this cartridge, and you zing it across.
Well, I had one of those way back.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so much fun with it. I really had fun. So yeah, the sleeve. So then we just decreased. So we took a measurement, basically of like where this would hit from the back on the back piece. And then it comes down to actually about there on my arm. And then, so we measured this distance around, and we dropped it, I think 8 inches here for the arm depth, and then measured around here. And I think it was 13 inches. So we went with 14 and then just decreased down to about 50 stitches here. And this was like so cool to do, really so cool. So as I said, then I did the hand knit, the neckline, and I'm going to block it as well before I do the embroidery. So again, that's why I didn't want to go any further with this, because I wanted to be able to show where I'm at tonight. I'm going to get this blocking pretty quickly and then start playing with the embroidery. And I have a really fun idea for what I want to do for this embroidery. So we'll see if it pans out. But this was a lot of fun. So as I said, I am on the hunt now for a used convertible knitting machine.
Ross sold mine at a garage sale.
Oh my goodness. Well, she bought hers on Marketplace, I think, and she has a friend that kind of sourced that for her that's into it. And Julia says we were both jumping for joy at the coffee shop on Saturday. We were. I was so excited. And yeah, I just went like, guess who knit a sweater in a day? So anyway, we got it done. And I mean, part of that too was the learning curve. I had to learn what I was doing. So if I had the machine myself and I were a little bit more adept at it, then definitely a sweater in a day is doable. And I was thinking, like I said, I could do vests, I could do a few things. But anyway, it's not for every knit that we have, but Sarah's had really good success too on doing like a patterned yoke and then separating under the sleeves, knitting a few rows, excuse me, just back and forth on the sweater front and back, and then hanging that and finishing the sweater on the machine as well. So like those boring stockinette parts that we don't really want to knit sometimes, just to make things go a little bit quicker. And you could, again, knit your sleeves flat and then just seam them up underneath the arm. So anyway, hopefully, I have something big to show next week because it was really exciting. It was fun to learn something new. And yeah, I'm always up for learning something new. But yeah, so that's what we did last Friday.
Okay, so my next, I finished the first one of these. So this is just a pattern that I made up that's basically a variation on a 3x1 rib where on every 8th row, you kind of just do a cross over 2 stitches.
Okay.
This is my coffee shop knitting yarn because I don't have to think about it. Don't need a cable needle. Don't have to worry about it. This is the Scrumptious Pearl Stripe Me Up. And this colorway is My Ranch, My Rules. And then this was just some leftover sock yarn that I had that I did the heel with. And I just actually did the toe as a bullseye toe. So now I got a cast on the second one so that I have coffee shop knitting. So it's been over a month, but I haven't actually been to the coffee shop in ages because I've been away or I've had grandchildren so I haven't worked on this a whole lot, but I really do like the sock. So I did have 72 stitches around. And then again, I decreased the sole by 4 stitches. So that would be like a 32 stitch for a 64 stitch sock. But when you're doing anything with cables, it just kind of sucks in your fabric.
Yes.
So absolutely. You kind of need more stitches in order to do that. So, but I really like the Scrumptious Pearl yarn. Like she really does nice self-striping.
Yeah.
It feels nice.
And they're nice little narrow stripes of color too. That's nice.
So, okay. So that's my second whip. Seems like I have a lot of socks this week.
Okay. The other thing that I made a little headway on, not a lot. Oh, can you switch that tab for me, please? Is the Sattler sweater by Bristol Ivy. And I'll just quickly remind you of the pattern. This is what it looks like. And I'm using the Knitted in yarn and it is held double. So this is clearly probably a sweater for the fall again. But anyway, I'm going to power through and get it done. And then that'll be something that I have ready to go for fall. My stitches do not look as defined as hers, so it'll be interesting to see what this yarn does when.
Is that what she used? Is that what the pattern is?
Well, she used Manchalope, but they are interchangeable. So, so this is what I've got so far. It's a bottom-up sweater, not my favorite, but that's okay. So I've got this. Goodness, I've got fuzz floating around here tonight. This is how far I've gotten on it. So I don't know, maybe 8 inches. And I think I have to knit 12 inches before I set up for the yoke. Okay. But I can show you. Pretty. It is pretty. It's really pretty. And like it does, once you get going, it does go fairly quickly because it is so chunky. I did have to go down a needle size to get the gauge. So I'm using, did I say 6s? Because I think the pattern called for 6.5s, and you're supposed to get a gauge of, oh gosh, 14, I believe.
Okay.
And when I tried it on a 6.5, I was getting 12.5 stitches. So when I dropped down to a 6, I got gauged perfectly.
Okay. And you're
So
holding 2 strands together.
2 strands together. Yeah.
Yep.
I will admit this is not my most fun experience. There's going to be a lot of spit in this sweater because I've got one that's a little bit smaller. So I'm keeping that in a bowl. But even just having this one sitting on the floor, and mind you, it is carpeted where this is sitting, I find like when you're pulling from these bottom rows here, it will break. It breaks super easy. And all of a sudden I'll realize, oh, I've only got one strand. One has snapped off. So having it in a bowl is a little bit better. I could probably just quit complaining about it and bring down a stainless steel mixing bowl, and that would make things a lot better. In fact, I might do that now that I've outed myself for that. But the colorway is very pretty. And this is yarn that we were gifted to try. And I am having fun with the process of working with it. It's just getting it off that cake is not the easiest thing. But I think that this is going to be really pretty. It's it's funny, like in some lights, it almost has like a burgundy tone to it.
Yeah.
On
Yep.
camera, it's looking
That's
quite brown.
The one that I used. That's the color that I used with my Dunes cardigan, but I held it with a silk mohair that was darker, so it looks a little bit darker. But yeah, the actual color, there's a lot of color in it when you look at it.
There is a lot of color. Yeah, there really is. And it's just very interesting to do. And I'm, like I said, I'm really enjoying it. It's just the getting it off the cake bit. And I think like the little samples that I knit, and once I washed and blocked them, I really like the way the fabric feels on them. So I think I'm really going to like this sweater a lot. But yeah, so that's the Sattler.
Okay, so my next work in progress, I've actually got all the yarn for it in here, but I finished one. It's a sock.
So that's pretty.
This is a sock where I did the opposite. I actually held a bare colored fingering weight yarn, and these are all my scraps of mohair from different projects that I've done. So in here, I have all of my, well, first of all, here's the bare colored yarn. And this is yarn that I have some for you, Kelly. This is yarn that we were actually sent by Elite Spun. So they sent us some, they sent us some of their different bases to try out. So this is their 80-20 sock yarn. So it's 80% merino, 20% sock. That's just a bare color. It says it's 100 grams. I did not weigh it before I started, but after I weighed the sock, there had to be more because there's no way, because I've still got 94 grams left and I've done one sock.
Oh, okay.
So there's no way there was more yarn than that in it. So again, all I did here was, I actually did a 2x1 rib just for a change. This is a 48 stitch sock on a 3mm needle. There's no pattern. I just kind of did it. So I kind of figured out, I've worked with that weight before. So I figured out how long I wanted my stripes.
Right.
So I think I started out, did my cuff, and then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 9 different colors of mohair other than the pink. So 10 colors altogether. And each stripe is 8 rows each. So I just, at the end of each stripe, I'm just dropping the mohair and picking up a new color of mohair. And like these mohair stripes, I think it's taking less than for the whole socks, 2 pairs, it's going to take less than 3 grams of each of those mohairs. So
nice.
I think
very nice.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. It feels really nice. It's funny how different it feels when you just change the balance of what you're doing, right? Yep. The mohair is now the one that's doing all the color changes, whereas the socks that we've done in the past, the main yard was doing all the color changes and the mohair was just kind of softening it down. But it's a beautiful way to knit up and use your little bits and pieces of mohair that you've got left over. So yeah, so I don't even know I can't even tell you what all the mohairs are. There's some that are, I know that this pale purple, which you can hardly see, but when you hold it up with this, then you can tell that it's different. But there's like a pale purple here, which I know is drops. I believe that this one is drops. I think that this one and this pink, the brighter colors, are Ginger Snap. This was Leo and Roxy. I think there might be one that's a knitting for Olive, but so they're all interchangeable to put them in there for your socks.
Absolutely. So. Yeah.
And they do. Like, I can't believe, I know that there's people that have been doing mohair socks like for so long. I can't believe it took us so long to figure out how good these feel on your feet. Seriously.
I know. They feel amazing.
But yeah, so you can just take like a basic DK weight pattern and use a fingering yarn and a mohair held together.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, so that was a lot of fun doing that. And it went so fast because when you're doing stripes, it's like, I just want to see what the next color looks like. I just want to see what the next
8 rows on a DK weight at 48 stitches is so quick. Like, you wouldn't think it'd be that much quicker than 60 stitches, but somehow it just is. It really is.
Well, for me, when the socks that I'm doing lately have been like 70 and 84 stitches, 48 stitches feels like nothing.
Sure.
So,
yeah. So there's a couple of people in here saying, okay, going back to the knitting machine. Sorry, I don't know where it just went. It just disappeared. Oh, Barb is saying that her friend's mom made a blanket on a knitting machine for each of her sons. That would be great because, I mean, there's nothing I would like more than a knitted blanket. And I can tell you, I'm not going to knit one. I'm just not. But that would be a great idea. And then Nancy is talking about the knitted in yarn, and she's saying that she has the best luck when she hand winds it into a ball first and works from that. So I haven't tried that yet either. But I mean, it's not awful. It's just, I have to be mindful. I basically have to pull off like a section and then I knit that section up and then I pull off again. And somebody, Nancy also says that you can, if you're using 2 strands, that she hand winds them together in one ball. So again, these are all good comments because this is a new yarn base for me and looking forward to it. Lisa's talking about doing the hibernal.
Oh, the hibernal with mohair. Yeah, that would be nice.
I made those socks and I love them. I do wear those socks quite a bit. So yes, I would highly recommend those too. And that's a pattern by Summer Lee Designs. Yes. Okay. The last project that I have is here. It's still my Alpenglow. I apologize for not having this done. I have the better part of one sleeve done though, and that's pretty much what I did this week or like on my lunch break at work. It's going fairly quickly when I work on it. Let me just say that. It's just mustering up the energy to work on it. And I don't know why it feels like a slog. It's a sleeve, friends. It's 60 stitches. This is like, I need to get at this. So I think I have on this particular sleeve, I have 3 more of these 10 stitch or 10 row patterns to do, and then decide what I want to do to finish the cuff. And I'm sort of leaning towards doing this and doing the cuff in this as well. So like doing a zigzag and taking it right down into a cuff. And my thought process behind this, Sarah and I talked about this on Friday as well when I was at her house, is that I have recently knit a sweater in Surrey, and the whole sweater was in Surrey, and those cuffs have held up just fine. I was worried that the Surrey wouldn't be dense enough to create structure for a cuff. And I know, but I think it would be. And this is Surrey held double, so that would have even more structure than my other sweater. And then a lot of people suggested doing the corrugated rib on the cuff. And as much as I like the concept of that, here's what I know about me and sweaters. So I'm making these sleeves will be full length, and I tend to push my sleeves up, or on my watch arm, I often walk around my house like this with one of them turned up to show the watch so that I can see it. I can check it without having to move my sleeve. And if I had corrugated rib around my cuff and then I flipped it up, that wouldn't look so attractive. That's what we'd all be looking at. It would be this. And then the other thing too that I worry about is that since the corrugated rib doesn't have a lot of memory, I think, in it, like once you stretch it out, I feel like the cuff would stay stretched out. So as much as I like the idea, I don't think I'm going to go with the corrugated rib. I think I am going to give it a whirl and go Surrey right down to my hands. that's where I'm at today. I may completely end up doing something different, but that's where I'm at today. So I've got to get at this. I want to be able to wear this before the weather turns too warm. So, okay.
Okay, so my last whip was a new start because why would you want to finish the things you already have on the needles? So let's see here. Okay, so the next one is the Bergman by Caitlin Hunter.
That one was on my list before it came out. I love that sweater. I was going to do that with knitted in.
Well, just wait till you see. That's like, this changes every time I change. We have to talk to them. Things are not, so there are some things that are not going right with this program. Anyway, it is a sweater by Caitlin Hunter, and this is the sweater. So it's like a color work yoke, and then she's got some color work going down into the sleeves and color work down at the bottom of the sweater. So originally, I don't know why, sometimes it takes me a while to like a pattern. Originally, I don't know, didn't bring me joy, I guess. I don't know. And now
I was on to this pattern before she even released it. As soon as she showed the preview, I'm like, I need that sweater. I love that sweater.
So, but now I do like it. So I am doing it in, this is one of my colors. So I am doing it in Knitted In. So I don't know, this color's kind of blowing out a bit. It's kind of like, it's a little bit different than the color that you're using right now. This one has more, even though it doesn't look like it, it's got more, it's got more pinks in it. And I'm actually holding it with this. And this is Pressed Flowers is the colorway. It is Marsh Mohair by Lichen and Lace. It is a gorgeous mohair. It's 64% mohair, 36% silk. So it's like an absolutely gorgeous mohair, and it's got some variation in it. And then my other color, and this is where I got to be careful because I'm pulling the ones that are still attached, is the Knitted in the colorway Snow. And then this is and that's why I couldn't start it before. I knew I wanted to do it, but I didn't have this. So this is our Elite Spun mohair in the Bear colorway. So I'm holding that with the Snow Knitted in. The other one, I don't know what the color is because it just came like just a partial skein, so I don't really know what the color is. And then I've separated for the sleeves.
Yeah, it's such a pretty pattern.
I am in love with this. Like, you can't even see all the variation in that yarn is just absolutely beautiful. And then you get a little bit more with the mohair. So, but yeah, and Ross looks at it and he goes, Noelle, what are you knitting a sweater like that for? It's like the end of, I said, Ross, it's going to be cold when we're in Norway.
Yeah, it will be cold again.
I'm bringing this sweater to wear. So yeah, so I've split for the sleeves. I still haven't decided yet what I'm going to do when I get down to the hem, but I think I will like doing the color work and then having the bottom band in this darker color. And same with on the sleeves. Plus, I think down at the bottom, I think that will help.
There's color work at the bottom too.
Yes. And plus, like, rather than having the white at the bottom, it'll stay cleaner if it's a darker color.
Yeah.
So, but it just feels like, it just feels amazing.
Now, are you getting gauge with one strand of Knitted in and mohair?
One strand of Knitted in and mohair, I'm getting 18 stitches.
And is that what the pattern
said? That's what the pattern calls for.
Okay. Yeah. Because I saw like some people had actually been doubling up on their Knitted in. So they must have completely revamped the pattern. I mean, that would be a really thick sweater too.
They're doing like two strands of Knitted in and a strand of mohair.
I had seen that. I had pulled a couple of favorites out into my Ravelry, and that's what they were using. And I thought, wow, that would be a dense sweater.
No. So my neck band, I actually did with a 4mm needle. Then the plain, because there is some short rows in the back here.
Right.
That I did with a 4.5. And then when I went to this, I went up to a 5, but I think I'm going to drop down to a 4.5.
For the body.
For the body. I do find, and I don't know whether, and I was trying so hard not to break that.
Too late. More spit.
But you know
what?
Spit. I've only actually sitting doing it on the couch and having it separated. I've only had to rejoin it twice.
Okay, good, good.
So I've gotten good at pulling it, but when you move it anywhere, then
Yeah.
it's like, so anyway, unfortunately, there we go. I got to join it up again. But I'm finding that this one, I think, is a little bit thicker than this one. This one is more like what you're working with right now. I do
It looks,
feel
even
like
on
this
camera,
feels
it
a
looks
little bit
thicker.
thicker.
It does look a
Yep.
little bit thicker. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why when I'm going down into the white after this, I am going to go down in needle size so that I maintain the tension. So I am doing the
Mhm.
smallest size in the sweater. Yeah, and it does have, I'll see what I get across once I do a few inches, because I believe the pattern does have waist shaping, which I will do if it's after I try it on and decide
Right,
whether I need
right.
to do it or
Yeah,
not. So,
yeah.
but love. I
It's
love
very
working with
pretty.
this yarn. I really
It's
love
nice.
working with
It
this
really
yarn. It
is.
is.
Yeah.
It's so nice and it just feels so soft. And then it's so light.
It is so light. Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
know it's gonna be a warm sweater, but it
So,
is light. It's not something that's heavy. Yeah.
but yeah, but so thank you so much, Candace, because this has been so much fun doing this. And maybe I need to move to a cold climate.
I don't.
Anyway, a lot of fun, really enjoying it. So, and now if I do the color work and stuff at the bottom, at least that gets you past you've got to do so much plain stocking stitch, but then at least you get to do color work
Right.
again before
Right. Yeah.
so. Okay. So, did you buy anything? I know you did because you said you did.
I did. Did you?
I didn't buy anything, but I'll show the rest of the yarn that we were sent.
Yeah. Carla's laughing. She says, colder than Canada? Well, yeah, colder than
We're
Canada.
not. Everybody thinks it's cold in Canada. We are farther south than a lot of places in the States. Like
Yeah.
where we are in Canada is farther south than a lot of places. So if you're thinking of northern Canada, definitely it's colder. Like my son went to Thunder Bay for university for a couple of years, and it's definitely colder up there. But like this year, we've had more snow than we've had in quite a while. But like we have warm summers, hot summers.
We do. We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's right, Amy. We're more south than Minnesota.
Can you switch that tag back for me? Sorry.
See, it pulls that up when you do it.
There we go.
Okay.
All right. So while I was at Sarah's house on Friday, and we had the delicious pad thai, we went across the street to Knit Stitch, and she had the drop soft tweed. And this is what I've made. I made one of the riptides in this, and I also made the Coastal Crop sweater by Tiff Nailen. And I wear both of those so much. And she had a color. It seems like every time Wool Warehouse has a sale, this color gets sold out.
Gone.
Yeah. So I thought, it's here and I'm supporting Suzanne and I'm going to grab it. So I got 5 skeins of this to do a vest. And this is the color. It's called Grizzly, but it's that really perfect. It's just that it's not a taupe. It's a little bit more brown than a taupe, but it's got just that like undertone, that pink undertone to it too. It's really a pretty color. And again, it has the really nice neps that are very well integrated into the yarn. It's a very soft tweed to work with. And like I said, and it wears really, really well. It does not pill. So this is what I got there. And then, so I bought this that I could have bought at Wool Warehouse, but it wasn't on sale. And then my Wool Warehouse order came in this week too. Actually, it showed up on my birthday. So I will show you what I got from there. I have wanted to try a couple of these yarns. So that is what I ordered. So they have a DK weight and it's called Fiesta. So I got this colorway, which
that's pretty.
Was really nice. It's like the browns and a little bit of a blue. And then I got this colorway if I wanted to do a contrast toe or a heel. And then this is, by the way, this is called Uh-huh. Well, I don't think the name is on these. It's just the numbers. Sorry. One of them was summer something or other. So then I got this one too. This is the other color. So anyway, I can tell you it is color 36 and this is color 25. And it's got a lot of the same tones. And hey, look, it goes with this too if I wanted to do a contrast row. So I grabbed those. These come in 50-gram balls. So I did get 2 of each of those colors and one of these just to do toes if I want. And then I wanted to try a sock yarn that they have. And I know that Tracy uses this sock yarn a lot. And I wanted to try it. And it was ridiculously cheap on their sale. And again, the names are not on these bands. So this is the Drops Nord. They makeup. I should have said this too. Sorry. This is a 75-25. So it is a real DK sock yarn. Okay. And then this is a 75-25 as well, I believe. No, sorry. This one is 45% alpaca, 30% polyamide, and 25% wool. So I know that this will felt. I have to be careful. These can't go in the wash. These are going to have to be a hand wash. These ones here, this is a 75-25, a super wash. So here are just some of the colors I got. They're really just pretty colors that will sort of all coordinate together. I like the way these 3 look together. And then I also got these 2 colors. I think I have this in a full alpaca. It's like a blush, a rusty blush, and then a really pretty blue. Again, I just thought they maybe look good with that too. Anyway, just to try and mix up some sock colors and see how I feel about it's very, very soft. Very,
it is.
So, and she said,
now Ross has worn his a couple of times and I haven't found that they felted.
No, I'm thinking that they would felt if you throw them in the laundry.
Okay. Though. Okay.
Like I that's what I mean. These ones definitely have to be hand washed because of the alpaca. And ask me how I know that. It's because I have felted socks that I have knit before that had alpaca in them, and you do need to hand wash those ones. So, okay, that's what I got.
So we're just going back to talking about the Newton, and Victoria said she finds she doesn't actually wet the strand. She just puts the 2 together and lays it on top of each other. I don't either. I just lay the 2 on top of each other and I just do this a couple of times. And I don't give it on it at all.
A good lick first and then one. Okay. Cause I've been,
Nope. I put a couple.
I've been licking my hand and then doing that. So,
and I found that it's worked fine.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay. So, this is some of the yarn that we were sent. First was that 80-20 sock yarn that was merino nylon.
Okay.
I mean, they all look the same, but there's just different bases. So this one is wool cashmere nylon. So it's 70% merino, 20% cashmere, and 10% nylon.
This very nice.
Yeah, very nice. And again, I would do socks with it, but I say that if you have cashmere in your socks, you need to hand wash them, because socks that I've done before with cashmere that went through the washing machine, not even the dryer, wouldn't even fit Zoe. So that was that blend. And then there was this one, which is, this is wool cashmere silk.
Oh, very nice.
So it feels very nice. It feels a little bit different than the other. And it's funny because the different bases have they're all bare yarns, but they have different, like a little bit different tone to them, depending on what the fiber is. So I can't remember the composition of this one. I think it was, I don't know. It's SN 128 on their website. Okay. And again, these are bare yarns that they sell. So if you were doing like a sweater and you were having a cream colored sweater, like I someday want to do a cream colored, just an all cream colored sweater, like holding a strand of something like this with a strand of mohair.
Right. Yeah.
So, and then the next one is actually a stellina. I don't know if you can see the sparkle.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Yeah. So it's a silver stellina. It's 84% merino and 16% stellina.
Very nice.
So think of mohair and stellina in socks, how special it would be.
Yes.
And then this one. This feels amazing. So this is I can't remember what they call it. It's what does it say? It's 100% superwash wool. The colorway is natural, but it's like, I think it's thick. It's like whatever the highest thing is, like extra bulky or super bulky. It's not just bulky. So it'd be like it'll knit to some of like the Rasta patterns, but it
Okay.
feels
Yes.
amazing. Like, so like
It looks so soft.
it is. It just feels amazing. So
That'd
anyway,
be
they
great
sent,
to do a cowl or something really nice around
or
your
a
neck.
hat. You could do like a hat and then put like a colored pom-pom on top of it, like a bright,
Very nice.
like whatever. But yeah, super nice. So yeah, so they sent us 2 skeins of each of these so that we can each try out the different skeins. And yes, that was Elite that we have talked about with their mohair. But just to let you know, they do have all these other yarns too that are more cost effective, like that 80-20, that I'm doing my socks with, that I'm doing this with. Like on the website, it's $12.99 a skein for 100-gram skein. And like I said, there was more than 100 grams in the skein. So the prices are different depending on the composition. Like some with cashmere are actually a little more, but they would make a beautiful sweater holding like a bare color yarn with a multicolored or just even a slightly shaded mohair, just to get that really subtle.
Isabel is saying that she bought 2 of the hanks of the silk linen to make a Joni cami from Natasha Hornsby. That is a gorgeous pattern, and that's a great idea, Isabel. That's going to be a beautiful sweater.
Yes. So yeah, and so we got to try some dyeing too to see what.
Yes, we have to try dyeing.
Happens with
dyeing. For sure, we do.
Work them up into 50-gram skeins so that we can try different. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So thank you to Elite Spun for sending us those. I know I'm having a lot of uses for the plain colored mohair.
Absolutely. So, yes. Yeah. We can put that stuff on anything.
That's right. That's right. How did it take so long? Like, especially the socks. I just can't get over it. I honestly originally thought, I'll find them too thick, but they're not.
No, they're not thick at all. No. Not at all. So, I love mine. Yes.
And actually, I'm thinking I might even, like, this is even a little bit looser. I'm thinking I might even either go down a needle size, like to a 2.75, and get a little bit
of a tighter fabric
and see how much I can go down where it still feels comfortable to fit in a shoe, because the tighter they are, the better they're going to wear.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but I know.
Wendy says she picked up her order and she visited.
Oh, I didn't even know they had a shop.
And she said, it's cones. In Mississauga, and they have cones too. She says, just saying.
Road trip.
Oh, road trip.
I know, Tracy. Sure. I should have listened.
Yes. Yeah.
Tracy's been telling me for years that I should put mohair in my socks. Well, I finally listened.
Well, I really liked them. I'm just trying to think. I knit a couple of pairs like within the last 2 years. And I thought then, I'm like, oh, these are really good. I really like them because I knit the hibernals. And then there's another pair that I knit with mohair, and it's just escaping my mind right now. Oh, I guess the Indorsies last year, but I gave those away. But I thought I was positive I had another pair of mohair socks in my own cubby. But anyway,
like I
fell in love with them.
I had done socks before for Jacqueline that had like mohair held with like a light yarn in the color work. But then I gave them to her, so I didn't have them. Now those ones, because they are color work with the mohair and held double, those were actually more
that
like
was a thicker sock. But no, when you just knit them, and I do the same thing. I use a 3mm needle, and I love the way they feel. They're so cozy. They're just like a little spa treatment for your feet. And they're easy to get inside of my Blundstone boots or Birkenstocks, anything like that. So, oh no. Somebody says my puppy really liked her mohair socks while they were drying. Oh no, that doesn't sound good for the socks. It's a good thing they knit quickly.
And Mary Ruth says she'll have to try Fleece and Harmony sock. They have has mohair and wool, and there are blends out there that have mohair in them. I think the yarn that we got from Wellington Fibers
yes
has a mohair in it, and it gives you just like that subtle halo, because sometimes sock yarns will put mohair in it as opposed to a nylon, because it's supposed to be a lot stronger than just the regular wool. So
Kim, they are slippery on hardwood floors. I'm not going to lie, they are. But
I have a pair of indoor not Blundstones, indoor Birkenstocks.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I told Ross, I saw Ross the other day had his Birkins, he's got the rubber Birkenstocks and he had them on with his socks. And I'm like, oh, you're copying my socks and stocks.
Yeah. They, They are slippery, but I mean, not to the point where I have to worry about walking. I'm just a little more cautious when I'm going up and down my hardwood stairs. I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
okay, you're wearing
Actually, I
mohair, be
found
careful.
the more I'll find where I'm going to slip is on my stairs, because and they're carpeted.
Oh,
And
really?
wool, they're
Okay.
carpeted with wool, and I find it just slides off the.
Okay. And
But normally I have it on with Birkenstock, so
Victoria used the whole slucia in there as well. And
okay.
that, yeah, that would be really nice as well.
I looked at that when I was picking out all the colors for the socks that I'm doing now, and I thought, I don't know if I want, but plus it's actually the
Yeah,
Lucia is a little bit thicker, so to put it in with all the other mohairs, it might kind of
it
stand
is. It's
out.
a little thicker for
Yeah.
sure. But,
But if you
like I
just
would
did
have,
the but if you just did the Lucia and another, it would make a nice sock.
yeah, or like some of the lighter weight Surreys now too, right?
Yeah.
Like the one that I'm using, I'm holding it double, but if I held it single, it would work just as well
Yeah.
like as a
Yeah.
mohair. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Okay. Well, we we are running late again now,
okay.
friend.
We better talk about our knit-alongs
Yes, because
quickly.
it's the end of the month is rolling along.
Okay, so we have our sock make-along going on. So as you finish your socks, just get them into the finished object thread on Ravelry. When we draw at the end of every month, and we go back right to the beginning of the year and draw 2 prizes from there. One, a pattern that's generally donated to the podcast by our friend Natalie Sheldon, who is Natalie Sheldon _ remembrances. She's got gorgeous sock patterns. And then we also have a sock yarn prize every month. So the more socks you get in there, the sooner they're in there, the more chances you have to win a prize.
That's right. And then our second one, which is wrapping up at the end of this month, is our not selfish knitter make along. It does not have to be knitting. It can be any crafting that you do as well. And it actually doesn't have to be something for yourself. It's just if knitting for someone else is what brings you the most joy, we'll take that too. The project has to have been started January 1st or later, and it has to be more than 50 grams to qualify. I think it can be any project. And if it happens to be socks, you can double dip and enter those in the sock along as well.
Yep. So, okay. So I think, Lee said she just entered her 3rd pair. Yay.
Oh, congratulations. So nice. Isabel, yes, you have images of Tom Cruise, slippery socks on wood floors. I don't know if I look like Tom Cruise, and I don't wear the tidy whities, but I do scoot around my house in them sometimes because of the hardwood. I like to get a little slippery 60. There we go.
Okay, so I think that's it for today.
I think that is it for today.
Okay, so we hope that you are it's almost the first day of spring.
It is. It's very close.
Happy spring. It will be spring before we see you next time, because it will be spring by next week. So we hope that you're enjoying spring wherever spring is, whether it's, or maybe fall. I guess it's spring or fall, depending on where you are.
Right. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm. So enjoy the seasons. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and we will see you next week. Thanks for joining us. Happy knitting.